Okay. Hi, I'm Amber Sands.
Hello, I'm Corbin Jacobs.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Sands.
And this is Karen Lallean. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
That's good.
I've been looking forward to this interview.
What did you do for fun on the island when you were a kid and a teenager?
When I was a kid, played in the bush, had apple fights. We throw little apples off, those little crab apples all over the place, little thorn apples. We were normal. We lived on Stony Road back then. It's called, now it's Ashkabee, I believe. And Teresa Altman and Beak and Adele and Jennifer are our cousins. Not our cousins, our neighbors. And we used to go under this big tree in the swamp there, and we'd go on, and that was our stage. Sometimes we'd be flying all over the world because that would become our airplane, but it was our stage, and we did a lot of stuff like acting and stuff like that on it. It was fun.
Did the island look any different when you were younger?
Yes, it did. It was really bare. We didn't have all the buildings that we have now, and everybody lived far apart. Like when my dad moved us out of where we were on Ashkabee, because there's so much drinking and stuff going on, fighting. He said, "That's it." He told my mom, "That's it, Mom. We're moving out here." He bought land down the Snai, so that's where we moved, and that's where we are today. And at that time, there was only Grandma Jenny, Blackbird, Evelyn and Robert Kayash, the Smiths, and Nelson Shagnash down Old Ferry Road, and us. The houses were far apart, so we had a lot of land there to play around in. It was good.
What was the wildlife like when you were growing up?
Wild. Duck hunting, muskrat hunting. My dad would go deer hunting and stuff. We would go down a lake. He would take us down a lake. When we were kids, we'd spend the weekend over there, and he would be fishing. He was a fisherman. And he was really busy with stuff, taking care. He did a lot of hunting and fishing that became their livelihood in order for us to survive. In springtime, we had a lot of muskrats. And he would go stay down at the Black Shack, and he had all kinds of traps set out, and he would catch all the rats, muskrats, and we just wait for him to come. We could hear the boat coming, down, and he would be coming up, and we'd wait for him. The boat would really be weighed down because of all the muskrats he had. So we'd have to carry them over across the road to the house, and then we'd be cleaning them, and I just loved to skin muskrats. I learned how to skin rats, and he would bring some of his friends, and Mom's friends would come over, and it would be like a circle, and they had a big wash tub in the middle, and everybody had their aprons or plastic aprons and their real sharp knives, and you'd start skinning like from where the tail is, cutting this way on each side, and going like that. It was good. I loved it. I loved it. But you hear a lot of stories too. I mean, those guys could really tell the stories. I don't know if they're true or not, but it was funny listening to it. It was good. Had a lot of birds, had a lot of ducks. We were kids, we would just fish right off the dock in the Snai. There's this one bass we could never get. It was a big one, and it would never bite our lines. Never. We had the best bait too. Dug up those worms and everything. Would never bite. And our lines weren't real, we made our own. My dad bought us sinkers and hooks, and we had string, and we got sticks, and we made our own lines, so that was really good. So if anybody can fish, you don't have to get these big rods like when I have the fishing derbies. You don't need all that fancy stuff. I tell kids that too, but they want the best.
Did your house have electricity when you were growing up?
It did. When we lived on Stony Road, we had electricity, but we didn't have running water. We had an old pump in the front yard where we'd take some water, dump it in, and we'd pump in that pump so the water would come up. And it took a while, but we did. Finally got it. But we didn't get running water till we were down Snai. And I think I was about 18 years old before we got running water. And my dad brought that water in from the Snai. He got a little pump house that he had made. And then it came across, and that's how we got our water, from the Snai. It was good. The Snai had a strong current in it. We could go up, jump in there, and we'd end up down a corner in no time. Got in trouble for that, though. Dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Where did your family go to get food or supplies that you needed when you were younger?
Oh, we'd go up the front. Dorothy White had a store, and Webster White had a store up there, and it was right across from the ferry landing. It was a red store. We'd go there for food and stuff. In those days, we had a ferry down along the Snai, and you'd have to go across the ferry to go to town or Chatham, wherever, and that was a long time. When you're a kid, that seems like it takes forever, you know. But we got it on the island. Lallean and Pines. Naughty had a store down there by that park. Used to be an old United Church. That's where the United Church used to be. And it was right across. We'd go to Sunday school. We'd walk down that dike from Ackwash Lane back through there to the church, United Church, and we'd go spend our offering money, which we weren't supposed to do, but we do buy a bunch of candy and stuff, sitting in church, handing out candy to our little buddies and stuff.
Mm. What were your responsibilities when you were younger?
Our responsibilities were to take care of each other. I had a grandma. Her name was Cecilia Lallean. She was crippled. She had arthritis really bad. She couldn't get out of the bed. So we must have been not even 5, 6 years old, and we'd go over there where we lived on, we called it Sony Road back then. By Lita Johnson's corner, there's an old log house that's falling down right now. That's where she lived. We spent a lot of my childhood there. We would take care of her. We'd stay with her at night. If she had to go to the bathroom, we'd help her, you know, and then we'd feed her, wash her up. We had to light up the lights, the lamps, because there was, she had oil lamps. That was the best part, though. We'd be cooking on a little wood stove. She'd tell us what to do, so that was pretty good. She taught us a lot of good things when we were young, and that's where I got a lot of my training from my grandma, and I think my desire at that time to help people, that, you know, that you could help people, and that's what I do today. I'm still helping people, and I don't mind a bit.
What were the waters around Walpole like when you were growing up?
Really blue. It was nice. Once in a while you'd see an apple floating down a river, or an orange. We wouldn't bother it that way. It was nice. We had a lot of sand. Up High Banks, it was really cool. My mom would take us up there. And why they called it High Banks, because it was high. It was like this, and then it would drop. And all through the side were swallow holes, the birds. It was like high as this room, and you'd see them, and you could play down around on the bottom. And that's how it used to be, but then I don't know what happened. But now it's all like one level in that too. But I remember all the swallow holes there for the swallows and stuff. And that's where we would go when we were kids. I remember one time my mom, excuse me, took us up to the front. The Queen was going by in her big boat, her big ship. And all the people, we were just watching for the Queen. And I never had that much patience with anybody like that. Just a kid, you know how kids are. And they started going by, and my mom said, "You guys gotta wave. You gotta wave at the Queen." So we just all waved. I'm thinking after a while when I was a kid, there ain't no way somebody could see us who's waving at them. I went out in the boat, I'd be looking. And same thing with me and my sister Archie, Arlinda. We'd be laying outside on the ground, and we'd be watching the airplanes go by, and we'd wave at them. And, you know, let's wave at those airplanes. So one of these days coming up, Archie, we'll ride in those planes. We'll see what it's like. And then when we did start flying around looking down, ain't no way you're going to see anybody. I just laughed. think about it now, we're laughing about it. But everything we said that we would do when we were children, we did. We've done a lot of different things. It was good. We had gardens then. My dad had a big garden, and we had to clean it out and stuff. And it was really hot, and he'd send us out to weed the garden and stuff and hoe it. So we would. He came to the squash. That one time it was so hot, I told Archie, lay down underneath the leaves, Archie, because they're high, eh? They're big leaves, and here we were just laying down. Really cool, gabbing away what we were going to be doing. And they were looking for us. They couldn't find us here. We were laying on the ground, being nosy, finding what we were going to do. We did a lot of things when we were kids. We didn't have to have a lot. I think we had one bike, and Jeffrey was a hog. He hogged it on us. Wouldn't let us. That's my bike, you know. So we go play in the bush and stuff like that. It's good. We always had someone around us, you know, watching over us. So it was good.
What were the natural resources and wildlife more abundant when you're younger?
I think mushrooms, the berries, blackberries, not thimbleberries. Thimbleberries are big, but blackberries and raspberries are really sweet. We had wild strawberries, that were really good in that, eh? Had gooseberries. There's a lot now. The choke cherries, you don't see them too often. Only place I remember seeing, what is it, those berries, mulberries. I don't know, they make pies out of them, but they only grow or seem to grow around the graveyard. Elderberries. Yeah, elderberries. That's where a lot of them grew around up there.
Where were the deer nests when you were growing up?
The deer?
Deer nests.
Deer beds.
What do you mean?
Like where deers live, I guess.
Or did you not see them?
I don't ever remember seeing them. I remember my dad telling me that people were going deer hunting, but then they would be out public bush. They'd be all over the place, you know. And
Did you attend school on the island, or did you go to a residential school?
I attended school on Walpole Island. My first school was the old band office building by the front, and the Lands membership building, that old building there. And my teacher's name was Mrs. Wells. One time she wanted to take pictures of us on this old dirty rotten boat laying on a beach, on the sandy beach. And I don't know, she wanted our picture taken in our group. You know how kids are. I didn't want my picture. I didn't want to sit on that boat because I could see the little bugs crawling on it. You know, and so me and Shelley Isaac, we were there, and then we kept running away when she's going to snap picture. And she finally grabbed us and sat us down, and then after a while, because we weren't good, she wouldn't put us in the building, and at that time, that's where the jail was. We had a jail inside, like cell downstairs. So me and Shelley went to jail when we were in kindergarten. That's my life of crime started. No. I'll never forget it. Yeah, so interesting. It was interesting. But I passed kindergarten anyway.
What was school like when you were growing up?
School was good. I enjoyed it. Grade 1 and grade 2 was at the old white school where the daycare and the library was, through there. And the first day I played hooky was the day my dad and mom came looking for me to buy me new running shoes. Oh God. Here I was, me and a handful of these other kids. We were at that, I think it was Schwab's, at the break wall at the end of the road by the monument. There used to be an old boat thing where you put the boats up. And here we were laying on the dock inside with a stick playing in the water, you know, watching the fish go by. And here my dad came and found me. I thought, oh, good grief. The first time I ever played hooky, my dad got me. And that's so, but I still got my shoes.
Did you ever experience bullying growing up?
Yeah, I did actually. Our grade 3 teacher, Ken Allen, was an awful bully. He was a very mean man, and I couldn't understand why we would have to have a teacher like that. He used to live in a building next door to one they just tore down. Him and his wife, and he had, I think, 2 daughters. I see Judy, Vicky, and his son. His name was Ken. I think there might have been another girl, but she was real young, I think. Anyway, we were here, and he did have a problem with alcohol. Like, he'd come into work, and he'd be mad, he'd be drunk, hangover, you know. I remember one time, he hollered at this guy. The guy was standing in front of me, and the guy just fainted. One of the students. We were in grade 3. Like, he was a very violent man. And it sticks to me to this day, and the kids I went to school with, we talk about it, eh? One time he had this was the first school, grade 3 was in this school, the old part. So was kindergarten after a while. But he had a lobster claw in a net hanging on the back wall. And he'd go home for lunch or, you know, and he'd come back, and one time these guys in our group were throwing their fruit around. They hit it. They used that for the target. Boy, was he ever mad. You know, marks all over the wall from the fruit. He got really mad. He knocked his little lobster claw off. He was just horrible. I wouldn't put, you know, I would ever put kids in a school like that. Never. I think that they need to be aware of who they bring in to teach, because it's affected a lot of our people. And he had to play, I think, God Save the Queen or Old Canada, and he played on an old record player. He couldn't get it to go, and then we start laughing. He got mad, slammed that top down, and just looked at it. We didn't know what he was going to do, you know. Then one time he started talking about aliens and stuff, and we're just sitting there looking at him. I thought, man, this guy's nuts. Threw a book at me one time. I told my dad. My dad came over and talked to him about it. And a few words or less, and the guy never said nothing to me again. But he had a problem, and I can see now, but that's no excuse to make excuses for him. You know, I believe when people come and teach our children that they need to be level-headed and they need to be kind-hearted. Because you're usually supposed to have compassion for people you work with. You know, like when I worked with Corbin in drama. You know, we didn't go around busting heads and stuff. You know, but that's what the teacher did. Standing on a board one time, we were doing the math. I could never write it out to figure like this, but I could think of it in my head and just that way. And the girl next to me, she had a long ponytail, and he put the stuff on a thing for us to figure out, and she started writing. He grabbed her by the pony and yanked her head. She just screamed. I almost had a heart attack. Like, it was, jeez, it was awful. But that's the stuff, the school that we went through. And I says, that must be like residential school. I thought, well, that's craziness. But a lot of our kids went through that here at my age with Mr. Allen. And finally they moved. I think they went to Kettle Point, then Kirkland Lake, that way. I was glad when he moved. And nicest teacher, Brian Anderson. He was in a portable on that side of the school. Very kind, very gentle. You know, it's totally different than what we just came out of. You know, so grade 4. School was good. We had a set of swings up the front that we played on. But the only thing about them, they had wooden seats. And if kids weren't watching, they'd go running and they'd crack their head. Someone would be swinging and, you know. So it's kind of scary. That was crazy. I think about it now. Well, you never know this stuff, eh? I mean, we're kids and you play around. You pay attention to a lot of stuff. But school was good. Other than that, what we went through in grade 3, that was a line marker for me, that one. Yeah.
Where did you work for most of your life?
I worked for most of my life. Walpole Island. I went to school in Toronto, came back, worked here for a little bit. Then I went back to school in London College. Did that for a while, and then I thought, I went out west, hung out there for a couple of years, drove a school bus, just got a lot of stuff, babysat out there, and stuff. I had a lot of fun. Got a lot of friends all over the place. And then I went to back to school. Then I ended up working for Sarnia, Walpole, and Kettle Point for the Children's Aid Society, working for the bands. And then I did that, and then I went to work in London at the Namron Friendship Center with a family court worker, where I worked with Young Offenders Court and Young Offenders Court and Family Court, working with the CAS stuff. I had a lot of knowledge on it. And then my mom got sick, and so I came home. I worked there for 6.5 years, and then I came home and stayed with my mom and helped her out until she passed, and then I'm at the house and still working on Walpole Island.
Do you have any children?
Nope, I'm not married, so I don't have children.
In the past, was it like,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
It was related to the last question. Over time, how have you changed the way you look at people in life?
I've become more aware of people, the problems that they go through, the things that people, how their lives are. Like I work in addictions. I started in 92, so that's how many years? 18, take away 92. What is that? Or like 27? 26? Yeah, so I've been here 26 years. And I've done all different aspects of the work. I've done with the youth, with the craft. We did the craft groups. We did karaoke. We did drama. We're still doing drama. Corbin used to be in our drama group. He was pretty good at it. And we're still doing that. And then something else for Diane. I started working with my friend in Chatham, Floyd Porter. He's my boxing coach. I got my coaching for boxing when I lived in London. I had to work with young offenders. So they're always getting assault charges. So one day I got tired of it. I went up and hit the guy in the arm. I said, "You want to fight?" You know, and he goes, kind of startled him, you know. And I says, "Why don't you join the boxing club?" I ain't got nothing. I said, "I didn't say you got any money." I said, "You want to join the boxing club?" And I said, "I'll pay for it. Get you off the street. You won't get charged for assaults. You'll learn discipline." You know. And so he took me up on it, and so we got him into boxing, but he had to be out. He had a curfew, so I had to stay with him for his curfew. So I thought, well, since I'm doing this, I might as well take boxing, like coaching. So I did, and my supervisor at that time was Rosemary Albert from Oneida, and she took we both took the coaching for boxing, and I've been involved with it. We got up here, got a club going with Floyd and Chatham, and we're looking at getting one in Walsburg when I retire, and when he retires, so hopefully by end of next year we'll have a club in Walsburg, probably by Glasstown. That's what we're looking at there. So we get our kids in there. We got 2 international champs. We got Tyler Kuyash and Rufus Jacobs Jr. Went fighting out in Kansas, Oklahoma, fought all over the place. In Canada, Toronto, Windsor, you name it, we've been there. And that's so I like boxing. I used to watch boxing with my dad, and that too. And met a lot of famous guys, George Foreman, George Cavallo. Those black guys from Toronto. What's her name? It's coming to me. You must remember I'm getting old. And anyway, we've done that, and it's good. They learn respect. They learn discipline. They gain confidence. My kid that I had in Namron, his name was Brendan Ireland. He had a really troublesome childhood, and it got him involved in boxing, and he ended up going out to fight. I think it was Jamaica. He went out there. He came back. He started getting into it more and more, to where he was really boxing all over the place. And then when I left, my coach in Namron was Frank Rodriguez. And he had that club there at Namron for quite a while. Then he passed away. And go up there they did a thing for him before he passed, and we all got together, and it was good. Reunion. And then I was with Floyd Porter from KO Boxing. We were fighting in Sarnia. And Brennan went full cycle. He went from being a kid, juvenile, all kinds of problems, to where he started boxing, into bringing in kids and training them. And then he went to school, and then he went to fighting, teaching these kids all this stuff. Now he went to school to be a social worker, and so he's doing what I do now. He's an addictions worker, and also he has a drum group that he's teaching to drum. So that's really amazing. That's good. So he came full cycle, and when I seen him, I was just so happy, because I seen something that the guy turned his life right along, and he had to make sure he told me about it. And I had to speak in Chatham, so I told him about this kid that was really rotten. It was him. He wasn't really rotten, he just acted bad. But he needed a lot of help. He was excellent. And now he's out there helping people too, so his life went full circle, so that makes me feel really proud. Stuff like that. So it's worth it if you have compassion for something, to carry on, to do it, because sometimes you don't know whose life you're going to affect. You don't know, whose life you're going to affect. Never give up on anybody. Never. I work with addicts. I will never give up on them, because there's a soul in that person. There's a heart in that person. They have a spirit that's lost. So that's why I do what I do. What else do you want to ask me?
What did you like the most about your life?
I had really great mom and dad. I loved my dad, loved my mom. They taught us. My dad, when we were sick, when we were kids, my dad would come down and he'd pick us up and he'd hold us, he'd sing to us, pray for us. So I had that kind of a role model in my life, all my life. And he was always very, very gentle and very kind with us. Always made a way for us, like he was a provider, everything. He was a good dad. Same with mom. She was a good cook. But my dad made better beef stew than my mom.
What do you think has stayed the same about you throughout life?
My faith. I believe it's my faith in God. I'm not crazy and never been. Like, I made a decision to serve the Lord Jesus when I was 14 years old. Now I am, how old am I? 65. August 4th, I'll be 66. So I'm doing okay.
Mm-hmm. What has been the most important experiences in your life?
The most important experiences in my life is being with family, working with youth, and being there to respect elders and seeing them, talking to them. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. I'll talk to anybody. You know, because sometimes people all just need a good word, like bonjour, or, you know, how are you, stuff like that, eh? And because I'm on the radio, I have to watch how I present myself, because I play like gospel music and talk to them about the goodness of God and stuff like that too, and do the announcements for community and stuff like that. So I have to watch my life. I'm an open book. You know, that's how it is. But I think when I was a kid, I was really backward. I didn't know what to expect really sometimes. When I got to school, like my mom would say, she'd say, Karen, you're always doing stuff with your hands. Like, stop that, you know, thinking. But I always did, you know, this is something you do. Me anyway, I don't know what else. Maybe dig in my ear or something, but so that's the way things are. School, we got to have good friends through school. A lot of people that I went to school with, some of them are passed away. I was just thinking about that today on my way to work. Going by some of the houses, thinking, I used to go to school with that guy. He's dead now, you know. Because of different sicknesses in the community and stuff like that. A lot of cancers, a lot of diabetes, all that kind of stuff. But I'm concerned about our people. And I have a lot of faith in our people, like warriors. It's a part of a warrior is to defend our people and to protect our people. And I believe that warriors aren't only men. Women are warriors too. And it's good that we can do that to help our people. When I was a kid growing up, if I did something wrong and there was somebody out there and he said, hey, you're not supposed to be doing stuff like that, you get hurt. You know, and then I hear about it when I got home because they talked to my parents. And I saw Karen at the ferry laying down the thing with a stick in the water, and my dad said, what's with you and this stick playing within the water all the time? You know, and we'd be on it laying on a dock. And one time my dad pulled up in a boat. I thought, oh no, you know, because he told me to go home. He said, you go right home. Don't be playing around up there. So he pulled up an outboard motor and got caught. You know, but all us used to walk to school, and we must have looked like a little group of kids. Probably people would probably say, oh, there's those kids. It was good though. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time and thinking about me. Oh, I must tell you this though. We have an award. I got caught being and doing something excellent. Award coming up at the 28th of March. We're celebrating it. The White Bison program that we're working with right now. For all the people that went to White Bison, we've done that program for 8 years now. And we've seen a lot of changes in people's lives. It's cool. So we're being honored for it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.